The Memorial Nature Preserve, located on the eastern boundary of Little Point Sable Association, near the shores of Lake Michigan. A beautiful place to commune with nature or just listen to the sounds of silence.
We knew we had to raise between $150,000 and $160,000, and that was an awful lot of money, and we needed it in fairly short order. And we came up with a letter, as I recall, didn't we, that we sent out to everybody telling them the story. I think Joe Ringle was the principal drafter of that letter.
I don't know if we included Art Poinier's picture in there or not.
Yeah, that's right. We were lucky that Art had the talents he had.
The 8 original board members, Joe Ringle, Dick Schneider, Don Hines, Art Poinier, Scott Armstrong, Grant Mickle, Bob Slater, and Wally Wing, formed the Memorial Nature Preserve in the mid-70s with no property, but lots of foresight. A few small lots were donated, and in fact, the first trail was in the area behind the ballpark. Then Don Hines bought a 150-plus acre parcel and held it until the board could raise the $150,000 needed to pay for it. That campaign concluded successfully in August of 1987.
To figure out the best way to raise funds to buy the approximately 150 acres that belong to, what was the name of the real estate agent in Shelby? And he bought it for a relatively modest amount from the lady who owned it, and she was a real estate lady, and he decided that he had to make something out of it, so he held out for we thought almost too much money, but that didn't make any difference. We had to get it.
Sure.
And so we tried to divide things up, and different ones of us talked to different people. And so we asked each person to think of the person whom he could, the ones he could talk to, and see if they wouldn't make a contribution. And
Joe and the other board members approached potential donors, and after the original effort, which raised most of the needed funds, Lynn Schneider cleaned up the campaign. It's interesting to note that 86% of the Point families contributed to this effort in time and or Monday. That was commendable.
another nickel out.
In the early 70s, we began to get concerned of what might happen if somebody would come in and buy a large tract of land to the east of the regular flats of Little Point Sable and bring about a big development that we would consider to be undesirable as far as our old environment here is concerned. So we got a group of us together to talk about the possibility of forming a corporate entity which would acquire land to the east of the residential part of the point and put together what we were going to call a nature preserve.
The first trails in this new property were cut by the logging company hired by the previous owner to timber out the valuable trees. It was an easy way for the board to get things started. Fred Duncan mowed these trails every year, and also the parking lot, using his toy, a ride-on mower. The trails are well marked with our new signage, and there are lots of things to see along the way. That's a wild raspberry.
Oh, we're here.
We're here.
Wishing well.
Wishing well.
Now, what's the background on the wishing well? Does someone know about the history?
Got their own story.
Yes, I don't think anybody's absolutely certain.
The wishing well, according to Point lore, was originally built as a reservoir for the hotel and guest houses, though in fact it was never used as such. This is a bit of film taken in the 30s that Bill Brown found in his home movie collection, showing the view toward the beach from the reservoir. Because the land had all been commercially timbered, probably clear-cut, you can even see the church. There it is. Some say Chicago was rebuilt from this timber. And these are two old photos taken at about the same time that have been made into postcards. That was not an uncommon thing to do at that time. These were from Mig Schneider's collection of memorabilia. Note the old hotel you're looking at now, and the cottages behind it that now belong to the Howies and the Kuykendalls.
So whereabouts are we?
Well, we're up on what is now called Lookout Point, which I think is probably one of the highest points on Little Point Sable. It's pretty much directly in back of Schroeder's cottage, which is at the location of what we used to call the old pier. So we always traditionally thought of the old pier as the midway point between the North Glen and the South Glen. Right, Scott?
And every
Like-
Sunday
like
night
railroad tracks.
after the sing, every Sunday night we have the beach fire down there with Harry and Betty Hill
Yes.
with their guitars, ukuleles I guess in those days. And just this year we paddled in the canoe right over one of the concrete.
Oh, you could see it, huh?
It's a clear,
I haven't
quiet day and you
seen that
can see
in
it
years.
right down there a little bit south of what we call
Treasure 10 years, don't you think?
Many have contributed in time and labor over the years we've been developing the nature preserve. These benches were made and donated by Jess Fleming. They were placed strategically, using Fred's toy, to take advantage of the view, as here, or to provide rest on some of the steeper trails. The property just in front of this bench has been cleared to maintain this special view.
He was.
Maybe you replaced Grant. That's possible.
It could have been.
Grant was a very faithful member, very at the outset. Ran a
Contrast the old films you just saw with what the wishing well looks like today. The current president of the Memorial Nature Preserve, Steve Armstrong, represents another generation of pointers getting involved. He and Cindy installed some donated birdhouses around the preserve in 1994. This one is at the Lookout Point. After Bill and Jean blazed the trails, the most recent of which was completed in 1994, the volunteer army went to work. Bill Paxton organized us all into one or two work parties, gave us all instructions, and off we went.
Okay. Hi-ho,
Well,
hi-ho.
she can come up with
It's off to work we go. Bill? Yeah.
Jean is now checking the plumb of a newly installed identification marker. The markers themselves are a thing of beauty.
Absolutely level.
Absolutely vertical. It's a long way from it, but we won't bother about that.
Meanwhile, Jane Howie faithfully watered, at first daily, then every other day, and ultimately once a week, the seedlings planted bordering the parking lot.
Well, we don't like this sumac, boy.
Sickles, rakes, and clippers were like extensions to our arms, the preferred tools, though occasionally a more serious attempt with a saw was needed. Now and then we needed some brawn to move down trees off the paths.
You didn't like that sharp knife. Was you afraid you get hurt or what?
In 1993 and 94, we had hobo dinners as fundraisers. We evolved an assembly line approach to put together the 175 sacks needed for the hobo dinners. The committee worked hard, but it couldn't have been done at all without the equipment and food hauled in by the Duncans. They, along with the Meekers and Villas, were fantastic.
Yeah. Well, you can run that in anytime. All we gotta do is have it covered. They aren't covered?
No, they're not covered.
All right, start the hose, Sharon.
Oh, it isn't started?
It was, I shut it
Start
off.
your engines!
There's no panic.
You got to get a picture of him in the hole over there, Paul.
I will.
I did? Oh, geez.
What are you up to down there?
Oh, geez, I'm up to my butt in alligators here. I hope there's no alligators.
I hope so too.
There was, is one help guys?
My butt in sand.
So this is the burial pit, huh?
This is it. This is where all the garbage goes. Everybody's done eating.
I need to take that Theta hat, huh? Take a picture of that.
Uh-huh.
Is there enough light for you?
Oh, yeah. Okay, here we are. Going into the cauldron. This is the hobo sacks. Some refer to them as the hobo socks. Been washed at least once.
Yellow mustard, what's that, Tom? Is that a spicy mustard? I have a whole captain in this
There we go, fishing.
Fishing.
Caught a big one. Otherwise, got everything right here.
All right.
We're all ready to go, and then we take it over here. Yeah, Shirley, please stand. All right, you got everything. And there we go.
Thank you.
Here, you wanna?
It's not a bad idea to take a hike in the preserve after all that food. It's good for the waistline. This strenuous sign means just that, hiker beware. But there is respite. There's one of Jess's benches.
Aaron, look this way.
Preserve as it is today didn't just happen by spontaneous combustion. Once the board obtained title to the land, they, with the help of many volunteers, went to work. First, Jean and Bill blazed the trails, and then the volunteers cleared them. I was just fooling a bit ago when I referred to a couple of work parties. In fact, there have been dozens. We start in the spring to clean up the winter's debris. Some haul benches or put up birdhouses or install signs. There's plenty to do to keep everybody busy. Even the younger kids have helped. And we also warranted a guard dog to protect us from the forest denizens, raccoons, porcupines, deer, skunks, etc.
Where's the weed?
Yeah. You picked a bad spot for any weed.
Come down carefully, make it look steep.
That's easy. It is steep.
One of the many projects was to put in a new entrance behind the fifth tee. Don Hines graciously granted permission to crowd his property to hook up with this perimeter trail. Some of you may have wondered how we got water to fill the vat for the hobo dinners and to water the seedlings. Gene was our engineer. He in fact hooked together 6 hoses Some his, some Geltima's. The Geltimas have been paying an inflated water bill for several years to help us out. The hose runs from their cottage through the woods, across the road. We did try to bury it. Through the woods again. And into the Memorial Nature Preserve parking lot. Without this contraption, this seedling probably wouldn't have survived. One of the goals of the board is to provide an educational program. Several people have conducted nature walks and bird hikes.
Because I make that every year.
Do you?
Just for fun.
It really tastes good.
Just like
Does it cure anything?
all that, I can't promise.
You want to ask a question,
You know, I'm glad you said that. Because I looked it up in the book and that's what I thought it was. So I'm glad
Yeah,
you
we'll get lots of
birds now as you have in the spring because they've all reproduced. But
They're not noisy.
they're not noisy. They come through at a more staggered time over a period of a couple months, whereas they're more concentrated in the spring. And their colors are not bright and they're not singing. For all those reasons, they're harder to sing.
We've even had a couple of maple syrup making demonstrations. This is Bruce Turnbull showing us how it's done. These lucky people are about to spot a cardinal. There it is. No one had a movie camera at the pig roast in 1992, so we had to put together a collage of still shots taken then and at the 93 hobo dinner. The Lord obviously favors this project, as He has provided us with perfect weather for all of our picnics. We've been prepared for rain, however. The attendance, as you can see, has been wonderful, and no one has gone away hungry.
To the dinner just before we're going to sing. Good turnout, beautiful weather.
Yeah, the question was, should I buy it here? The first town or wait. I decided I'm taking it. Yeah, I'll take it.
Stand up, let's see who you are.
You gotta like show up. You are. Oh, yeah?
But the nice thing is you can October and not worry about it.
I can't get down.
And so we leave the Memorial Nature Preserve with Steve and Cindy enjoying just one more spectacular sunset. We hope you've enjoyed your little tour of the Nature Preserve, and we invite you to come on up and see it for yourselves.